What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Logical, Plausible, Probable. In this video I'm going to discuss a few guaranteed ways to trigger a new atheist. Now before we dive into this, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to get notified when new videos go live, make sure to click that little bell icon. Okay, so in my last video I talked about different ways to diagnose if someone you know has Atheist Fantasyland Projection Complex, or AFLPC for short. One of the known symptoms of this condition is dramatic spikes in anger if you disagree with them, which led me to think of other known ways atheists are easily triggered. But I do need to issue a disclaimer before moving on. It seems that the old atheists don't seem able to comprehend that I'm focused on the new atheists, and the inability to grasp this differentiation seems to trigger the old atheists. So if you are one of these people, just click pause and save yourself from being triggered. I am not talking about you. Calm down. All right, let's get into a few ways that are almost guaranteed to trigger a new atheist and be able to quickly diagnose if they are suffering from AFLPC. Coming in at number 4 is the concept of dualism. Nothing annihilates naturalism and reductive materialism more than dualism. Since so many of the fundamental arguments they rely upon to supposedly defeat theistic arguments depend almost entirely on the immaterial world being nothing but a religious fantasy, the second you start discussing a separation of body and mind, well, these guys are guaranteed to get worked up. If you want evidence of this, go watch my debate with Amy and my different debate with Speed of Sound, where they both clung to this premise in the extreme. But to be honest, I understand there being sensitivity in some ways. I mean, if your worldview depends on things that pretty much everyone agrees are immaterial actually being material, and you get called out on this, to actually consider these implications requires you to contemplate if you've been being an idiot while suffering from an acute case of AFLPC for who knows how long. All right, number 3 is the premise of absolute truth and objective moral values. Now this one will get them triggered so fast you've got to be prepared for some mental whiplash, and I've never observed anything so counterintuitive than this one. Of course, a huge part of their reaction stems from the same concept that triggers them with dualism. If there are abstract concepts which are separate from the purely material determinism they so heavily rely upon, the idea of an objective cause being required for everything ranging from existence of the universe to moral standards, it immediately becomes an unavoidable concept that they must face. Now I find this one very entertaining, since they demand an absolute truth in order for them to believe in a God, while simultaneously insisting those things don't exist. If you can't see the irony of that, then I would say you're suffering from the first symptom of AFLPC. This leads to my number 2 new atheist trigger factor, evidence for intelligent design. Now, if you want to seriously trigger an atheist, bring this up and actually demand they answer questions about what would be required for anything of similar human creation, and if it could exist without an intelligent agent being required. Not only will they usually attempt to avoid even acknowledging the relevance of this challenge, very often you can get them so worked up, they will actually say things like Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Snapchat could create themselves in an effort to defend their position. If you don't believe me, go watch my debate with RJ Downard, where he literally says this. One of my other intelligent design favorites is asking if they actually think there is no difference in the source requirement for random and prescriptive information. I kid you not, they will literally respond with things like there is no difference between computer code and the type of information generated by 2 rocks smashing together. If you think I'm making this up, just go watch my debate with T-Jump. He actually said this. Coming in at number 1, best way to trigger an atheist suffering from AFLPC is to challenge the theory of Darwinism, also known as Neo-Darwinism, also known as modern synthesis. This one gets new atheists so triggered, they will even start complaining if you use a general term like Darwinism and don't specify which version you're referring to, even though researchers don't actually worry about this since they realize most people understand what is the current meaning of the words. If you don't believe me on this, just go check out the comments on my last live stream. you will see someone going off on this exact subject. Now, what's so funny about this is this particular person knows I know the difference, has heard me make the differentiation, and is still getting triggered. Now, obviously, since just mentioning Darwinism gets them triggered, imagine what happens when you start questioning things like protein synthesis being nothing but chemical reactions. What is the source of the genetic code, and how do they explain spatio-temporal logic gate controls that are accepted as requirements for life to exist? Then you can really get them worked up when you insist that proteins are actually nanomachines. And are they really suggesting that all of these components requiring pre-existing programming in nanomachines in order to function just came into existence by undirected process? However, when you go down this line of reasoning, it's almost guaranteed they will immediately demonstrate all of the currently recognized symptoms of AFLPC. Now, simultaneous expression of all of these symptoms can cause serious mental overload, and you don't want them to become overly stressed out. This method must be used with gentle precision in order to gain the desired effect, which is to force a mental reboot of their critical thinking skills. So remember, this is a guaranteed way to trigger an atheist. Use this tactic with caution. All right, that's it for this round of ways to trigger a new atheist. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm also thinking about doing a couple more videos on this topic, so if there are other ways to trigger an atheist that you've identified, please let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for supporting my channel, and as you consider the factors that are required for our existence, make sure your conclusions are logical, plausible, and probable.